On behalf of the Nationals, it's with great sorrow that I rise to grieve with this parliament for the 15 Australians that were tragically lost at Bondi Beach in what was a horrifying terrorist attack targeting our nation's Jewish community. Our thoughts remain with all those who are injured, and we offer our gratitude for those acts of incredible bravery that we saw during this moment of terror. The bravery from our first responders and the bravery from those Australians who acted heroically to save the lives of others. We commend the courage from heroes like Ahmed al-Mahmoud, who put his life on the line, who disarmed a terrorist and who saved the lives of countless others. But what unfolded last month was a despicable act of anti-Semitic terror. Australia was violated in the most egregious way on that day by pure evil that has left a scar on our nation. Ultimately, it is for us not to let this become a footnote in our history, but instead to have the courage to make it a defining moment as an enduring legacy to those lives lost, to eradicate this type of evil from our country. There has been only 2 times in my life I have seen the fears in the eyes of the people of Western Queensland. The first was the terrorist attacks of 9/11, and the second was on the 14th of December 2025. For many people, not just in Western Queensland but across Australia, we think of Bondi as this iconic, if not mythical, part of Australia that most of us only ever dream of visiting. And for one of this nation's most iconic places to have been assaulted in the most heinous way has shaken our belief in what it is to be Australian and what it is to live in Australia, a nation that until now has been afar from this type of terror. Because as the sun began to set in the early evening of Sunday the 14th of December, the shores of Sydney's Bondi Beach had been throughout that afternoon a scene of bliss and enjoyment. It was Hanukkah by the sea. It was an occasion for the Jewish community and for families, for children and for locals of all ages to come together and light up the famous Bondi beachfront in a celebration of humanity and faith. Horrifically, as the time approached 7 p.m, 2 Islamic terrorists unleashed a barrage of bullets which transformed what had been a scene of peace and grace into a scene of cold-blooded terror. And in the aftermath of this shattering act of evil, today is a meaningful moment for this parliament to remember and honour all those innocent souls who were cruelly taken away. We honour 10-year-old Matilda, a ray of sunshine who will be remembered by her family as a girl who loved to laugh, dance and sing. We honour the generous souls like Rabbi Eli Schlanger, who was cherished by his community for his graciousness, and his funeral I had the absolute honour of attending. We honour the bravery of Boris and Sophia Gurman, a couple who were both lost while trying to stop the gunman. We honour the boldness of Reuven Morrison, who went down as he confronted the terrorists armed with just a brick. And we honour the sacrifice of those Australians who died while shielding their loved ones from this act of terror. Today we honour each of the 15 Australians who have sadly lost their lives in a sinister and vile terrorist atrocity that should never have happened. Because what unfolded at Bondi is the human toll of anti-Semitism. This is the human toll of inaction with anti-Semitic hatred is allowed to fester. And this is the human toll of Islamic terrorism, a threat fuelled by an extreme religious ideology embedded with violence and intolerance. For 2.5 years, Jewish Australians have warned and pleaded for us to act against this scourge of anti-Semitic hatred that has been allowed to spread, and for that we have failed them. Because when Jewish childcare centres need to be patrolled by armed guards, we have failed them. When Jewish students are intimidated on university campuses, we have failed them. When Jewish businesses were boycotted, we have failed them. And when synagogues were firebombed, we have failed them. This cycle of poisonous anti-Jewish hatred must end. Otherwise, this will all be in vain. Anti-Semitism must be eradicated. and radical Islam must be eradicated. I grew up in an Australia where it didn't matter whether you were Catholic, Protestant, Muslim, Jewish or anything in between. So long as you contributed to your community and you contributed to our country, we celebrated the richness of faiths which has made this country, and that's the Australia that we must fight to regain. We are the custodians of the Australia that we inherited and a society that has drifted into a dark place that we must have the honesty to face up to what it has become and have the courage to fix it, to hand an Australia to the next generation that we're proud of. Mr Speaker, today we pay our respects to the lives which were stolen at Bondi. 15 innocent Australians have lost their lives. Our Jewish community has been traumatised and our country reshaped. There are really no words of comfort that I or any of us can provide to the families of these victims that will ease their pain. But they should know that this country is with you and that your loss will not be in vain. May they rest in peace.